Hey guys, this is Dan. So I want to give some quick tips on the latest campaign and how to get into it. So right now it's unlocked for anyone who is level 20, whether your item level is meets the requirement or not. So if you look in the item level requirement for this, it's 70,000, and to get into Light of Xaryxis, which was the previous Wildspace one, is 65. Well, this character just recently finished leveling. The thing to note about this campaign, and that I didn't notice at first, was even though I don't have the item level, I still got the intro quest, which is Falling Stars. So I'm going to go there. You notice, again, I am 59, 860 now with my doodads on, but the requirement to get into Light of Xaryxis is 65k, which is the campaign before this one, and then 70k for this campaign. But again, campaign regards to the item level. So what I'm going to do, I still got to do the intro quest. So let's go do that. Let's try to get in here, see if I can keep from getting my butt kicked too bad. Might have to do things a little slower. Okay, so the dragon's pushing me around here, jerk. And next group, all done. Again, this is the intro to the quest, to the module before this, but because you have to do this to get to the new Wildspace area, they have made this available. All right, next group. Okay, it looks like there's just one group. Sweet. So the smoke bomber time, and they won't be able to get their AoE off. And probably too much information. Okay, now we get the mini boss, or the boss. I'm going to just skip ahead, and he's going to try to throw something at me. All right, so we're going to grab all that stuff, and then we're going to talk to Kovatos. Hello. We'll skip ahead past this cutscene, right up here, and then we get to the next part of this intro quest. Now, once you get to, I'm probably skipping ahead of myself here, but once you get to the second milestone of the Light of Xaryxis campaign, you'll get this as a weekly, this particular thing, and it's worth 25. Let's change this back. 25 points of your 100 that you can earn every week. Alright, going to go back to AoE, which I really didn't change a lot last time because my artifact was on cooldown. And we'll do the same thing. Again, just pull out one group of ads. This is different. You just have the 3 groups of ads. Ooh, I probably should have done it a little later, but that's alright. Alright. I don't want to aggro the boss yet, because fighting him and the ads at the same time is a pain in the butt. And depending on your item level, it can make it a wipe. Right. I have to pull out one of these wimpy potions I still have instead of the new ones. But we will talk about how to fix things like that later on too. So let's get my daily and my mount power and my artifact. Try to keep from getting kicked, especially since I have wimpy healing potions, because I didn't think to change them out. This guy, he is, that was close. You don't have to take him all the way to 0 hit points, thankfully. I mean, not that it's not possible, it's just he's annoying. There you go. So, get him down to a certain point, and he decides to run off. And we run over here, we untie the princess, we talk to her real quick, and then we move back. And we have done the intro quest. We have basically gotten entry to the Moon Dancer. Let's go over here, we talk to Captain Elena Sartell, go to the map, and this will take you to the Moon Dancer. Now, intro quest here this is where you finish up basically the intro, right? Okay. Now you go over here, you turn in the quest here to the Falling Stars. All right. Now you notice Forging Alliances. This is the very first quest in the Light of Xaryxis campaign. That one I told you I wasn't high enough level for. It's telling me I don't have the item level for it. However, they're letting me go and do this quest, which is basically the beginning of the new campaign, the Adventures in Wildspace, and now I can talk to her, and we'll get Unlikely Alliances, which is basically meet Vokath on his base. But now I'm going to show you something. This is the main thing I've been wanting to do. So this is the invasion, the Xaryxian Invasion quest. Well, it's not even. There is a quest for this. It's a weekly, but there's a benefit to this area. You don't have to fight anybody in here. The mobs in Wildspace are pretty tough. And these bosses are even tougher, especially when they're surrounded by mobs. And these areas are really rough because a lot of people don't seem to understand that you can avoid aggroing these guys. You just got to come around, like I did here, come around the corner and just go to the edge of the desk here. If I went a little farther up, he would notice me and he would turn around and he would attack. I can also go up here. When you go around here, one tip, let's get unstuck here. If you're on a mount, again, don't go up through the front stairs because you'll bounce way too high. You'll end up way past the chest. Dismount here and then run around and go to the edge of the desk here. And just wait a second and adjust your view until you can see the sparkly. I mean, if it's sparkling, it means it's available, right? So I just did it. Then we're going to move on. We're going to thread the needle between these two groups. Didn't aggro them. And so the reason I mention this is it's not only difficult for you if you aggravate these guys and then have to fight them. It takes a hell of a lot longer than doing this. And you just run to a chest and interact with it. And look, I've already got some astral gear. Now it's red, which means it's not for my class, which seems to be typical for the way this works. But I have multiple characters. All right. This area, avoid the mobs by just jumping over that. You're going to have to kind of get an idea of what you can get away with on jumping. But that obviously the center chest is one of the easiest because there's really nothing close other than when that wandering mini boss walks, the captain walks by. This one you want to move up as quickly as possible, get behind the chest, and then interact with it as soon as you can, because he will, as soon as he notices you, he's going to start moving towards you. But you have enough time to go to that chest before he gets to you. If it turns out that he's going to get to you before you can get the chest open, just move back to this bridge here. He'll chase you for a little bit, maybe even the mobs will chase you, but then once you get about halfway, just turn around and go back and do it again. Go back and just until you get the timing right. And what I found is if I move all the way back here, I can usually still see the chest, right, and still see when it says that I can interact with it. Now there's a little bump area here, so beware of that. You don't want to try to jump right when you're getting bumped and then you end up floating off in Wildspace, because your character will die if you fall off the bridge or anything like that. So don't have to fight any of these guys. If you get too close, you're going to start getting hit. If you take enough damage, it'll knock you off your mount. And again, it slows you down. Sure, if you're a really high item level, really well geared out character, and you're not playing an alt, obviously, or maybe you have all your alts that way, that's great. But for those of us who have a lot of alts, who are just kind of there to help support, but not necessarily to max out on every single one, because that's just really expensive and unnecessary, then this is the way to go. You just, again, I've got lower than item level that I'm required to. It's apparently being bumped up to 70k, but still doesn't help me too much to keep from getting killed in here. What does help me keep from getting killed is not aggroing things that I don't have to. Now obviously if you have a big group that's running through here and fighting things, sure, jump in, help them out, that's great. But if you have people that are just like, they just don't know to not aggro the boss, you may not do so well. But one thing I've noticed with this campaign, or this area, is that if I finish up an invasion, let's go back to this, go back to the Moon Dancer. If I finish up an invasion, but I want to be able to go back into another invasion, rather than trying to hop around looking for an instance with an invasion, or looking in zone chat for like, hey, invasion active in this area, which most people aren't notifying people of anymore. One thing you could just do is leave and come back. and a lot of times you'll be in another instance. Now that works for me a lot of times. Now I don't spend all day doing that. What I do is as I am going through my characters and invoking or doing workshop things, if I notice if I notice that an invasion is up, I will go ahead and go to the invasion, pick up those 3 chests, and then move on from there. So you could go here and buy the astral raider stuff, or the different astral gear. There's 2 really important pieces for damage dealers. The arm pieces, I'll give you bonus damage. Actually gives it to everybody. So if you're a tank, you get bonus damage, which will equate to making you seem a lot more powerful. You get 20% bonus damage. For a healer, 20% bonus damage turns out to be a lot more healing. And then for the boots you get 20% damage reduction when being the cost of this gear is not super expensive when you come down to it. 100,000 AD, but a crap load of buzz jewels. You saw I was getting 5 per chest. You can get up to 20 for one of those commanders, but it can take forever to kill those guys. And usually what I get is 5. And you can get some from fighting the mobs too. You can get up to 5 per group of mobs too, maybe more. And then you need these Xaryxian marks, which you get from doing quests. This is not a bad way to go. But the reason I mention these isn't because of that you can buy them in the store, which would take forever, considering how, I just got 15 of those marks. Now, I could keep coming back all day long. That thing's going to pop up probably 4 or 5 times an hour. So eventually, I could easily get to the point where I could buy these, but as you saw, now your chances of getting them out of the chest is pretty low. But as you see, I've already got a piece, and if I've got a bunch of different alts doing this, I'm gonna rack up a bunch of different gear pieces. I will keep running this character through. Every time I go to invoke, and if I notice that the invasion is up, then I will I will go ahead and run into her. Hopefully this proves helpful. If you have anything to add or any tips that you know of for this area, please feel free to add them below. Thanks, Gigi. Have fun.